Welcome once again to Breakfast Central. Now let's start with the Punch newspapers this morning and share with you some of the major stories there. It says, shock as Peter Obi dumps the PDP. Protest mar governorship primaries. Obi Kwankwaso talk coalition. Niger primaries shifted. Youth stole Nishaku's convoy and gunshots as Adebutu Lawal supporters clash. It's so much drama in the Nigerian political space in the last few weeks. But also on the Punch this morning, rescue train passengers before terrorists kill them. The families are begging the president, Muhammadu Buhari. It's really heart-wrenching scene. It seems, to a large extent, that Nigeria seems to move on, while people are still in captivity. The major conversations while there are Nigerians in captivity held by terrorists.
I think it was
politics
just
mostly.
Yeah, it was mainly the bring back our girls time that we saw a lot of agitation on the part of people. Everyone was talking, and it was beyond social media. But what we see is there's some form of desensitization. People have gotten used to the conversations about kidnapping. I mean, how does the country go on knowing that we have a huge number of people that are currently in detention and have been in detention for over 2 weeks, and yet
we
what is going on? Like nothing is happening. Shocking indeed.
Still on the Punch this morning, let's see what we can find. Buhari's men wooing Jonathan to join APC. Presidential bid Emefiele's withdrawal on Buhari's order, says source. And Stella Odua absconded, didn't complete national service, says the NYSC. Interesting. Naira devaluation insecurity drives Nigeria's wheat imports to 1.3 trillion naira. And I think we can just throw in one more before we go. It says here, family cries out as EFCC fails to interrogate Okorocha 24 hours later. We spoke a little bit about that yesterday. In Anambra State, Soludo declares curfew. Women, children killed by gunmen buried. We took oath over OAU students' death, says hotel receptionist. And a ritualist exhumed newly buried corpse, harvest organs in Oyo. And the final one this morning, grounded First Nations multi-million-dollar plane sold as scrap, told to Oyo. Those are the big ones on the Punch newspapers this morning. And, of course, we have Joe Hansen hanging in somewhere to, of course, still share some stories with us.
Absolutely. Coming out from the Punch, that story in which you took, which has got to do with the Anambra curfew. Now, that's one story that's definitely making the headlines on all front pages of the papers. But let's take a look at one more paper, especially coming from this side of West Africa. Let's take a look at News Direct and see what the paper is indeed saying. The front page there says, 2023 presidency, mass defection in PDP over Peter Obi's withdrawal. This came as a shocker, Olive and Osaoge. And a lot of people are still talking about it up until this morning. Some are still saying that they do not believe. Remember, there was a 1 million match movement that took place recently for the presidential candidate Peter Obi, but I'm sure later on the top stories will cover that. Well, Obi vows to rescue Nigeria through different routes. That's still touching on the letter which has been made public as NNPP, Labour Party, lobby Obi for presidential ticket. So it's much more like what we call in football. He is a free agent right about now, although it hasn't been categorically stated because though the last line in that letter, you know what, I'll leave that for you guys to touch on when it comes to the top stories. But let's take a look at more news. Osun 2022, unapologetically committed to Oyetola's re-election. NGF chair Fayemi says, another one, Okada ban, 15 CSOs declare support for total clampdown. They cry Lagos threatened by daredevil riders. And if you know what we're talking about here, then I'm sure that you do understand why the 15 CSOs are indeed declaring support for the total clampdown for Okada riders. I'll take one last one. CBN debunks rumor about Emefiele's sack. This story was making the rounds yesterday. It was said that the number one citizen, President Muhammadu Buhari, had sacked the CBN governor. But this is indeed a clarification. Of course, here at News Central, we did make that clarification, but this is another clarification on the front pages of the papers saying that it is a rumor. Well, that's all the stories I'll be taking from the News Direct, Nigerian News Direct.
Okay, we'll move over to the Daily Monitor and let's see what the top stories are here on the Daily Monitor. The big story here, hospital quizzed over mom's missing kidney. Wow, where's the organ? Now the story says a 20-year-old reportedly went to Mubende Hospital where she was operated on and after developing complications from delivery by a traditional birth attendant. But she was shocked to learn days later that her right kidney was missing. Now the police and the hospital are searching for the answers. How do we make sense of the story of Saugi and Joe? I mean, a few days ago, we took a story about someone who says the employer tricked him into, tricked him and had his kidney sold. Now we're seeing, is this kidney harvesting becoming a business again?
I mean, how do you just discover that you no longer have one of your kidneys?
It's tough. It's tough. It's a situation that has reared its ugly head again. I'll take some months back, we had this same story here on Breakfast Central where we're dissecting the news as well, what's going on in other parts of Africa, in East Africa. And I think there were some parts in Southern Africa as well. But this time, seeing it on the front pages again, calls for a lot of reviews. It needs to be taken a look at.
Yes.
How do you sleep and wake up and your kidney has been harvested or something?
I even wonder how the person even noticed.
Exactly.
Like what were the things
Maybe there's
that
a
happened?
scar. Yeah, I mean, you have scars, you have
Yes.
slight pains here and there, and so on.
That's quite an unfortunate story. We would love to follow up with that story, most likely, or maybe bring a correspondent there to give us an update on how the story is playing out. But I'll still continue with a few more headlines on the Daily Monitor. Anglican Shrine receives first pilgrim. And today, we see here, NUP cries foul ahead of Omoro election. Besige remanded after refusing to pay bail cash. Now, we can see some photographs of some people here. These are the fresh blood in Uganda's judiciary. We're seeing here, Museveni appoints 16 new high court judges. Museveni appoints 16, so these are the court judges. And of course, I am super excited to see the women there who have been appointed. Congratulations to the new bearers, or would I say the new upholders of the law who have been appointed. But that's all that I can take on the Daily Monitor.
All right, those are the stories that we can share at this time on the newspapers across Africa.